Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of TTG For Real Film Room. Today's featured athlete is cornerback Richard Sherman. Unfortunately, his season ended early against the Arizona Cardinals because of a ruptured Achilles on a dig route. But here's the film that he did have for this season. You got to hear first from yours truly, Jamar Rashawn. Like, subscribe, and comment on what you guys think Sherman will do next season. Check it out. The Seahawks are initially in a man coverage. They must have knew this play was coming, so Sherman just switched it off. He's not outside responsibility, so he's just an alley player, and he comes up and makes the tackles. Sherman does a good job with his jab step initially at the line of scrimmage. The only bad thing about this, Sherman, he overextends himself sometimes because of his length, but this is just a good way to be aware and get on top of the fumble and get the ball back to your offense. Sherman is 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. He is pretty much a run defender only on this one. I chose to put this one because this is a hustle play. Sherman, he's known for, his mouth, but he also puts in the work. Man-to-man against Matthews. It's a slant fade combination. It's supposed to be a pick route, but Sherman just does a good job of his technique and undercuts the throw for the PBU. It's cover one with help inside, but the play action sucks up the linebacker, so Sherman ends up doing a press bail technique. T.Y. Hilton does a deep over route, so Sherman has to hurry up and make up for the lack of depth by the linebackers. He just really had to do a hell of a job of hustling. Here's the back view of it. Look at this. Just right in the nick of time. Sherman usually doesn't travel, but this game he did. He's in a nickel, manned up against T.Y. Hilton. He does a good job of being patient, but just stabbing his hands on both shoulders at the line of scrimmage. If you want to start for the Seattle Seahawks, you have to be able to come up and tackle as a cornerback. Sherman does a good job of reading his run-pass keys, and he just has to come up through the D gap and make the tackle, as you see. Again, Sherman has to read his run-pass key. Everybody down blocks, so he has to fill through the D gap again and just simply make the tackle on Gurley. The Seahawks are in a cover 3. Sherman knows he has deep third, so he has his eyes on the quarterback. He does a good job of just sitting on the route, but right there, he almost got lost because his eyes were in the backfield, but he does a good job of knocking the ball out at the right time. Again, to be a Seattle Seahawks starting cornerback, you have to be willing to come up and make tackles. Everybody down blocks, so Sherman has to replace it, and he does a good job of just being good at the point of attack. The Seahawks are in a cover 1. Sherman, he lets D-Hop get on his toes, so he ended up doing a press bail kind of sort of technique. He must have knew this deep out route was coming. He does a good job of being a savvy veteran. And just intercepting the ball. I'm not going to overanalyze it like most people do. But here's the back view of it. He must have knew this ball was coming because he just was sitting right there. He was trying to make some shape for the TD. Sherman is the outside contained man. He does a good job of being physical and where he's supposed to be. Just coming up, keeping his outside shoulder free, and just making a tackle. The Seahawks are in a deep cover 3. I think this was the Hail Mary point of the game. So you know what's coming. Sherman just does a good job of keeping his eyes on the quarterback. He sees the ball thrown, and he high points the ball and secures the dub for the Seahawks. As you heard me say before, Sherman loves to tackle. Everybody down block, so he has to replace. And as you can see, he does a good job. And just smacking Rob Kelly in the backfield. Sherman is in the slot against Dotson. All they're going to do is run a smash concept. Instead of the corner, he runs a shoot route, which is a pylon. Sherman does a good job of cutting them off because he knows where the ball going. High points the ball, but he dropped the baby. He dropped it. I know he's killing himself for that one. Sherman's in the slot against Fitzgerald. It's one free man-to-man. Let's see what he does. Does a good job of cutting Fitzgerald off, staying on his outside shoulder to not draw the PI, and does a good job of just knocking the ball out at the right time. Sherman doesn't have any pass responsibility, so he's reading his run pass keys. Everybody watch down, so he has to fill in through the C gap and make the shoestring tackle on the Adrian Peterson. Here's the back view of it. Adrian Peterson does a good job of the cutback And Sherman just, makes the tackle by the grace of a shoestring. Here again, Sherman is reading his run pass key, everybody down block, so he's just filling in the hole with just the D gap and coming up and making another solid tackle. Here in the last clip, it's the same exact thing. Only difference is Sherman gets a tackle for loss in the backfield. Here's the back view of it, so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about when I say Sherman is an effective, efficient tackler as well as coverage guy. There you go, guys. Richard Sherman, unfortunately, his season ended due to a ruptured Achilles. Hopefully, he can bounce back and be the Pro Bowl cornerback that we know that he can be. Sherman is in my top 5 is the top cornerbacks in the NFL. Just based off of his attitude, his swagger, and his intangibles that people don't talk about. There you go, guys. TTG For Real Film Room. Check me out. Subscribe. Let's get it.